What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be talking about cultural lens. I asked you guys for suggestions of things that we could talk about today. And someone suggested this topic. It said, can we talk about cultural lens? How does it shape our views? So that is what we are doing today. A cultural lens is basically how your experiences, beliefs, and values shape your perspective in life. There's no right or wrong way to have one. And while they can sometimes cause conflicts, differences in cultural lenses are what makes every one of us unique and what gives us the ability to come together and learn from each other. You could also think of a cultural lens as a filter, because it filters how you look at things in the world. Your cultural lens is impacted by many things, like religion, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, socioeconomic status, education, and personal experiences. These all have a major impact on how you view the world and your place in it. The tricky thing about a cultural lens is that you're not even aware that you have one. You don't know that it's there. And so everything that you see in the world, you kind of just accept as normal and natural. But when you experience other cultures and you hear other people's perspectives, that's when you start to realize that everyone's cultural lens is different and that the way that you see the world isn't the only way. And when you're really young, you don't have much of a cultural lens because you haven't experienced much yet. As you grow up, though, and you experience more things, your cultural lens starts to develop. This is why it's important to expose kids to lots of different types of people, cultures, and ideas so that they can form their own opinions about them. When you first hear about other cultures and ways of living, you may reject them if they're very different from your own, because it can feel uncomfortable to be exposed to ideas that challenge your own. And so it is important to keep exposing yourself to these new ideas, because then you can decide for yourself what you believe in. You might find that there are some things that you want to change about your own culture, or maybe you find that you really like other cultures better. Or maybe you come to the conclusion that your own culture is perfect and there's nothing you would change. Either way, it's good to be open-minded and understanding of others, especially when they have a different cultural lens than you do. When we talk about cultural lenses, we're not trying to say that any one culture is better than any other culture. We just want to celebrate the fact that there are so many different ways to live life. And that is what makes life interesting. And so having a cultural lens isn't bad, but not being aware that you have one and refusing to consider other points of view is a problem. A lot of people die with their cultural lens still intact. They never allow themselves to be challenged or to grow as a person. They just stick with what they know and what they're comfortable with. And that's okay. Like, we're not here to judge anyone for their beliefs or their values. We all have our own stories and experiences that have led us to where we are today. And I know that I wouldn't trade my life for anything. It's made me who I am and who I'm still becoming. But it is also important to remember that other people have their own stories, too, and to respect their experiences, even if they read different from your own. Maybe you grew up in a family that didn't allow you to eat certain foods or wear certain clothes, because they were part of your culture. And you might have thought that those things were weird. But then when you moved out and experienced life on your own, you started to try new things and you realized that they're actually really cool. Maybe you decided to start wearing those clothes that you were unallowed to wear before, or you tried the foods that you were unallowed to eat. And now, you love those things. But just because you like those things now, doesn't mean that you should have been allowed to do them when you were younger. That would be selfish because you were taking away the opportunity for your younger self to experience things that could have shaped your character. Instead, you should be grateful that you had those restrictions, because they forced you to become more adaptable and open-minded as an adult. Maybe if you had free reign over everything when you were young, you wouldn't have learned those lessons. So yeah, it's not always easy to understand why certain things are the way that they are. And sometimes it can be frustrating when we feel like we don't know everything. But it's also important to remember that we can't know everything. We can't experience everything, and we shouldn't expect ourselves to be experts on every subject. The world is vast and complex, and there's so much that we don't know about it. And that's okay. It's impossible to know everything, and trying to do so is just setting ourselves up for failure. It's also important to remember that we don't know everything about ourselves either. We can't know our own minds and hearts fully, and that That's why it is so important to be honest with ourselves and to reflect on our experiences regularly. The more that we reflect on our experiences, the more that we'll learn about ourselves and the more that we'll grow as people. As we get older, we continue to form new beliefs and values, and our cultural lens continues to develop, and that's a good thing. It means that we're growing and changing and becoming more complex people. But it is also important to remember that not everyone will share the same beliefs and values as us. Not everyone will see the world in the same way that we do. And that's okay. It's actually a good thing. It means that there are so many different ways to live life, and that there is no one-size-fits-all approach. I know that it can be difficult to understand other people's cultural lenses, especially when they're very different from our own. But it's important to try. It is important to try to understand where other people are coming from and why they believe what they do. Even if we don't agree with them, we should still respect their opinions and their experiences. I know that it's not always easy to do, but it's important to try. We should all strive to be more open-minded and understanding of others, and it all starts with understanding our own cultural lens and how it shapes our views of the world. So let's ask ourselves, what is our cultural lens, and how does it shape our views of the world? What are some of the things that we believe and value, and why do we believe and value them? What are some of the things that we don't understand, and why don't we understand them? By asking ourselves these questions, we can start to understand our own cultural lens better and how it shapes our views of the world. We can also start to understand other people as cultural lenses better and how they shape other people as views of the world. And when we understand each other's cultural lenses better, we can start to see the world from different perspectives, and that makes life more interesting. So I want to hear from you guys. What is your cultural lens, and how does it shape your views of the world? Leave a comment down below and let me know. I always love reading your comments, and if you liked this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and share it with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time. Bye.